When you ask yourself what it means to be a nice guy, you're really asking what it means to be agreeable. It's easy to mistake agreeableness for kindness. Being agreeable, after all, means being easy to get along with, accommodating, and saying what people want to hear. In the short term, this might seem like a good thing, but the problem arises when it becomes habitual, when your life revolves around pleasing others at the cost of your own principles, identity, and sense of purpose. That's when the trouble begins. The nice guy is not truly nice, he's just afraid. He's afraid of conflict, rejection, and not being liked. This fear makes him small, shrinks his potential, and traps him in a cycle of self-sacrifice and resentment. He goes along with others' desires without considering his own, bending over backward in the hope that he will somehow win favor or at least avoid disapproval. But what he doesn't realize is that in sacrificing himself for the sake of others, he's slowly losing his own worth. You might think that this is a path to happiness, that being agreeable, being nice, will bring peace. But let's face it, peace at what cost? It's the peace of the coward, the peace of someone who avoids confrontation at any cost, even if it means losing his own soul in the process. And in the end, it's not peace, it's self-deception. True kindness, real strength, doesn't lie in hiding from confrontation. It lies in being able to stand your ground, to set boundaries, and to demand respect. You can't truly help others if you haven't first helped yourself, and you can't do that if you're constantly placing yourself last in the hopes of winning some imaginary reward. The nice guy is a martyr in his own life story, and martyrdom never leads to greatness. What you need, if you want to stop being the nice guy, is to start telling the truth. This means not just telling the truth to others, but telling the truth to yourself. Stop lying about your wants, desires, and needs. Stop telling yourself that you're fine when you're not. Stop pretending that you can always be the one who gives with nothing in return. Stop avoiding the tough conversations, the difficult moments, and the things that challenge you to grow. The nice guy avoids these things because he's afraid of the potential pain, but it's that very pain that builds you into someone worth listening to, someone capable of leading others. You must take responsibility for your life. That means accepting the fact that you are not here to serve as a side character in someone else's narrative. You are the hero of your own story, and if you don't start acting like it, then who will? Being nice doesn't mean being weak, and it doesn't mean being a doormat. True kindness comes from strength, from knowing who you are and being willing to stand up for it, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it brings conflict. Most importantly, stop looking for external validation. The nice guy craves approval because he feels empty inside, as if his worth depends on what others think of him. But that's a false path. Your worth is intrinsic, and it's something you need to discover on your own. No one else can give it to you, and no one else can take it away. You have to stop outsourcing your self-esteem. The moment you stop seeking approval from others and start demanding respect for who you are, that's the moment your life will begin to change. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Being a nice guy is not about being kind or generous, it's about weakness disguised as virtue. Stop hiding behind politeness. Start standing tall in your truth. Start being who you truly are, imperfect, flawed, but strong enough to face the world with integrity. That's you. When you decide to stop being the nice guy, you're not simply deciding to stop being nice. You're deciding to stop lying to yourself and to others. You're deciding to stop compromising your identity and your principles in a misguided attempt to avoid conflict. You are setting yourself on a path to true authenticity, to being the best version of yourself, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary for your growth and for your life to have meaning. The problem with being a nice guy is that it stems from a deep insecurity. It's a kind of dependency and attachment to the approval of others. The nice guy is often caught in a toxic cycle. The more he sacrifices his own needs for others, the more he feels resentful, but the more he hides that resentment, the deeper the cycle becomes. And that resentment, however hidden or unconscious, erodes your sense of self-worth over time. Let's be clear, the nice guy is not necessarily a genuinely good person. He's someone who hides behind the facade of niceness to avoid dealing with his own discomfort. He fears confrontation and as a result never really deals with issues in a healthy way. He's the person who agrees to plans he doesn't want to be a part of, who accepts work he's not capable of, and who constantly takes on responsibilities that aren't his to bear all because he's afraid of saying no. He's afraid that if he says no, he'll be rejected, that he'll be seen as selfish or uncaring. What he doesn't realize is that when he doesn't stand up for himself, he's teaching others that his time, energy, and values are less important than theirs. And that's a dangerous game to play. You might think that being agreeable and pleasant will earn you goodwill, but it often results in the opposite. People learn to take advantage of you, to expect you to constantly bend over backward, and they start to see you not as a person, but as a resource to be exploited. The truth is, the nice guy isn't just hurting himself, he's also allowing others to treat him with disrespect, and in doing so, he's devaluing himself and his worth in the process. One of the core aspects of stopping being a nice guy is learning how to assert your own boundaries. Boundaries are not about creating walls to keep people out, they are about defining where you end and where others begin. A boundary is a declaration of what is acceptable and what is not. If you don't have boundaries, you'll be subject to the whims and demands of those around you, and this leads to resentment, burnout, and bitterness. But when you set clear, healthy boundaries, you give others the opportunity to respect you as an individual, and you give yourself the space to grow, to think, and to live according to your own values. When you start to set boundaries, the first thing that will happen is that you'll likely face resistance. People are used to you being agreeable, to you always saying yes, to you never challenging their requests. But this resistance is not a reflection of your lack of worth, it's a reflection of their discomfort. People don't like it when you stop accommodating them because it challenges their own behaviors and expectations. But you have to remember, this resistance is temporary. It's a signal that you're making a shift, that you're no longer playing the role of the nice guy who lets others walk all over him. When you stand your ground and refuse to accept things that don't align with your values, it might feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is part of growth. It's an essential part of becoming who you are meant to be. Standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, and saying no are acts of strength, not weakness, and in the long run, they will lead you to greater respect both from others and from yourself. Now, it's important to understand that being assertive is not the same as being aggressive. There's a big difference between standing up for yourself and attacking others. Assertiveness comes from a place of clarity and confidence, not from anger or frustration. It's about communicating your needs and desires in a way that respects both yourself and the other person. Aggression, on the other hand, is about trying to dominate or control others, and it stems from insecurity and fear. The nice guy often avoids aggression because he doesn't want to hurt others, but he might unconsciously channel his frustration into passive-aggressive behaviors like sarcasm or backhanded compliments. These behaviors, however, only perpetuate the cycle of dishonesty and resentment. They don't lead to true freedom or happiness. To break free from being the nice guy, you must also stop seeking external validation. The nice guy relies on external approval to feel worthy, but external validation is fleeting. The moment you start depending on others to define your value, you give them control over your life. You become a puppet to their expectations, and that's no way to live. Instead, you must learn to validate yourself, to be your own source of worth and confidence. This means accepting yourself as you are, flaws, imperfections, strengths, and weaknesses. It's about understanding that you don't need anyone's permission to be who you are, to pursue your goals, and to live a meaningful life. Self-validation is a practice, not a destination. It involves recognizing your accomplishments, acknowledging your strengths, and accepting your limitations without shame. It's about becoming comfortable in your own skin, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And once you've learned to validate yourself, you won't need anyone else's approval to feel good about who you are. You'll be able to stand firm in your decisions, even when others disagree. You'll have the courage to be unpopular, to make difficult choices, and to take risks because you trust yourself and your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Another crucial part of stopping the nice guy cycle is learning how to handle conflict. Conflict is inevitable in life, and avoiding it only leads to more frustration, resentment, and unresolved issues. Many nice guys are terrified of conflict because they associate it with anger, rejection, and pain. But conflict is not the enemy. In fact, conflict can be a powerful tool for growth. It challenges you to clarify your position, to communicate more effectively, and to develop resilience. When you face conflict head-on, you begin to see it for what it truly is, an opportunity for dialogue and understanding. It's a chance to test your ideas, to assert your boundaries, and to refine your values. Instead of avoiding it, embrace it. Engage in conflict in a way that is respectful, constructive, and authentic. Speak your truth, even if it's uncomfortable. When you do this, you demonstrate your strength, your integrity, and your willingness to grow. And in doing so, you earn the respect of those around you, because people respect those who stand up for themselves, who are willing to have difficult conversations, and who are not afraid to challenge the status quo. The truth is, you can't be a nice guy forever and expect to be respected. People will take advantage of you, they will push your boundaries, and they will leave you feeling drained and unfulfilled. But when you stop being the nice guy and start being the person who knows his worth, who sets boundaries, who embraces conflict, and who validates himself, you'll notice a dramatic shift in how others perceive you. You'll attract people who respect you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. You'll find yourself in relationships, personal and professional, that are based on mutual respect, not manipulation or exploitation. And most importantly, you'll start to respect yourself, because the truth is, self-respect is the foundation of everything. Without it, you'll never be able to live the life you were meant to live. You'll always be hiding behind a mask, pretending to be someone you're not, afraid to speak your truth and make your mark on the world. But once you start living authentically, once you stop being the nice guy and start being the real you, you'll find a freedom that comes from within, a freedom that no external validation can ever provide. It's not an easy path, but it is the right one. Stop being the nice guy. Be the person you were meant to be: strong, confident, and authentic. The world will respect you for it, and most importantly, you'll respect yourself.